Headline: Axl Rose sued for alleged 1989 sexual assault and battery by former model as rocker denies claims. It's never a good time when you're being accused of rape and sexual assault, and that is the situation which Guns N' Roses lead singer Axl Rose finds himself in, unfortunately. There are some things working in his favor in terms of defending himself against this charge, and there are some things working against him. Working against Rose is his public reputation that he cultivated as part of Guns N' Roses, and indeed the music itself and the lyrics, which tended to project an image of somebody who was very aggressive and kind of bragged about sexual conquest and being aggressive with women, but not in a non-consensual way. However, still, it tends to make this kind of allegation seem plausible, at least. Also working against him is that both his ex-wives sued him for physical and emotional abuse, and those were settled out of court. So that's Stephanie Seymour and Aaron Everly. So, he does have a history of, let's say, being aggressive with women, allegedly. Working for Rose is that this supposedly happened in 1989, like 35 years ago. So just on the face of it, that's kind of ridiculous to accuse someone of something from so long ago. And just the obvious question is, why wouldn't you have sought to redress the situation, I don't know, like in the 80s or 90s? Also, apparently Kennedy wrote a memoir in which she seemed to be reflecting fondly on her sexual encounter with Axl Rose. So if I had to guess, I would say they probably did hook up at the time. They probably did have a sexual encounter. And it's also believable, probably Axl Rose just doesn't remember it because, take a look. In 1989, he was kind of on top of the world, and he was a big star, and he was at the peak of his powers in every way, as a vocalist and otherwise as a celebrity. So it's plausible that he just had so many women he doesn't remember. Headline: Axl Rose sued for alleged 1989 sexual assault and battery by former model as rocker denies claims. The complaint was filed just one day before the expiration of the New York Adult Survivors Act. So this Survivors Act is not really explained in great detail, but in general I find these laws to be exasperating, like the statute of limitations for reporting a rape. How could it be 35 years later? I think it should be a year, or I think it should be like a month. How long? I don't know. I don't want to be insensitive to victims, of course, but here's another thought. This happened in 1989. It reminds me of the Mike Tyson rape allegation, which happened, I think, in the same year, 89 or 1990. A very similar situation because, like Axl Rose, Mike Tyson had kind of a bad boy image. So when he's accused of rape, then people find that to be credible, regardless of whether it was true or not. I don't think it was true in the case of Tyson, although he went to jail. A former model and actress has filed suit against Axl Rose alleging that the Guns N' Roses rocker sexually assaulted her in a New York City hotel during a 1989 encounter. Sheila Kennedy sued Rose, 61, for alleged sexual assault and battery in New York on Wednesday, claiming the singer, quote, targeted her using his fame and celebrity status to manipulate, control, and violently sexually assault her. So that's definitely the Me Too language, that a man, because men are bad, used his fame to manipulate. It's not that women want to sleep with famous guys. That's not an issue. It's just that men are being manipulative and controlling. And again, I don't necessarily think Axl Rose is or was a nice guy in his dealings with women, but as I said, my hunch is that this was consensual. But Kennedy spoke about this in her 2016 memoir, which was obtained by People magazine. So in her memoir, she claims that she was, quote, not previously aware of who Rose was. Doubt it. I was 10 years old in 1989. Like, everybody knew who Axl Rose was. So that is suspicious, number one. And here's from Rose's lawyer. Simply put, this incident never happened. Notably, these fictional claims were filed the day before the New York State filing deadline expires. Though he doesn't deny the possibility of a fan photo taken in passing, Mr. Rose has no recollection of ever meeting or speaking to the plaintiff and has never heard about these fictional allegations prior to today. Mr. Rose is confident this case will be resolved in his favor. I hope they don't give her money either. Is that what she's angling for? I'm not sure. It says she had a memoir from 2016. Is she trying to sell the book? Is she trying to sell the memoir? I mean, that doesn't seem likely either because it's kind of old. So Kennedy claims that Axl Rose pushed her up against a wall and kissed her at a club. And she says she did not mind and she was open to sleeping with him. As the night progressed, Kennedy, now 61, claims Rose began encouraging group sex and she became, quote, uncomfortable as she watched him have sex with another model. The complaint alleges that Kennedy left Rose's bedroom and later heard him throwing glass and screaming obscenities at the model. So here's Kennedy in 2013, when I guess she would have been in her 50s at that point. So then Kennedy alleges that Rose grabbed her by the hair and dragged her to the bedroom in a very painful encounter that left her with bloody knees. And then she says that he threw her to the floor twice, tied her hands behind her back using pantyhose before forcibly penetrating Kennedy's bleep with his bleep without asking for consent. Without asking for consent. That is so interesting. Like, okay, and as you read later, and she doesn't say no at any point. So I'm beginning to think that this kind of happened, but that she never said no, and therefore it wasn't rape, except for like the most ridiculous feminist interpretation where, you need like paperwork in order to have some kind of, relations with a woman. She was a Penthouse model, and she was the Pet of the Year in 1983. And she said it had lifelong physical, psychological, and financial impacts on her life. Notice that she says financial. Now, here's from her memoir, Kennedy's memoir. She claims that she was crying and bleeding as the musician allegedly assaulted her. Quote, weirdly enough, I was okay with this. I had wanted to be with him the minute I'd first laid eyes on him, and now I was getting him. Once he was done, he untied me, and we bleeped around some more, she writes. I remember going down on him, and when we were exhausted, he got up next to me and spooned me and started playing with my hair. I mean, case closed. You don't write that in a memoir if you got raped. So how do you go back 8 years later from the publication of the memoir, and now all of a sudden it's a different story? And also from her memoir, she wrote, a lot of people out there who want to see him burn in hell. She felt differently. I don't feel that way about him, but I do feel in a way that he got everything he deserved. I don't know what that refers to. Maybe the fact that she felt like his career wasn't going well, or actually his career is going well in terms of making money. His voice is a little shot, but, he can't help that. So look, I like how People magazine quotes her memoir, and they don't really comment on it, but those quotes from her memoir are pretty damning. Like, she is reflecting on this encounter in a way that is completely contrary to the allegations she's making right now, which is saying she basically remembers fondly their night together, that he's spooning her and playing with her hair. Is that possible after being sexually assaulted? So I think maybe it was like something rough and something that was consensual. I know that sounds a little harsh, but we all kind of know this. So my name is Michael McCara. Thank you so much for listening. In the description, you can find my Twitter handle. Follow me on Twitter. And You can also visit my blog, michaelmccarrablog.com, and finally like and subscribe to my channel.
I've only heard what love can do, and now I'm getting love from you. Make your vow.